To be totally honest, I've never actually memorized the distance formula. In fact, I had to look it up to do this lesson. And I don't bother with memorizing it because it's actually derived from the Pythagorean theorem. And I'd rather just remember the Pythagorean theorem because it's easy. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y squared minus y2 squared. And it's just, I don't know, it looks messy, it looks gross. I don't like it. But it can be used. I mean, it's fine. So I'll show you how to find the distance between these 2 points using it, but then I'll show you how much more intuitive it is to use the Pythagorean theorem just straight up. So the distance between points A and points B goes like this. So the coordinates of A are x is 3 and y is 2, and the coordinates of B, let's see, x is 6. Oops. Let me just, alright, redo. Alright, B is 6, and what's y? 6, okay. Okay, so this x2 and x1 business, y2 and y1, that just means let's choose one coordinate pair to be the ones and one coordinate pair to be the twos. So let's just make these guys the ones and these guys the twos. A and B, pretty logical. Okay, so the distance between A and B, distance, would be equal to the square root of x2. Okay, so this is x2, it's 2, and this is the x. X2, that's 6, minus x1, x1 is 3, squared, plus y2, so these are the 2's, this is the y, 6, minus y1. Y1 is 2 squared. Okay, so following order of operations, we do stuff in the parentheses first. So 6 minus 3 is 3. 6 minus 2 is 4. And then we would square that. It's 3 squared. And then square that. That's 4 squared. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. We're adding these together and square rooting that. So adding that together, that's 25. So we're doing the square root of 25. Square root of 25 is equal to 5. So the distance between these 2 points would be 5 units, and that's following the distance formula. So I'm going to show you how to do the same thing, just thinking of this as a right triangle and following just what the Pythagorean theorem says. And what we'll do is we'll actually follow steps that end up doing all this, but you won't have to memorize it. So what you do is you imagine that this is, where's my line? Imagine that this is a right triangle. So imagine these points forming a right triangle. It's not exactly right. But, okay. So the distance between A and B would represent the hypotenuse of the triangle. Okay, so we call that C. I'm going to switch to green here. So we know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So what we could do is, all we need to find is what this side of the triangle is and what this side of the triangle is. Well, this side of the triangle is 1, 2, 3 units. And this side of the triangle is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So we know that A squared plus B squared, and you could call either one of these A and either one B. What's important is that the longest side, the hypotenuse, is what you call C. So A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. And we could just solve for C. So 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So 25 is equal to c squared. If we want to solve for c, we just square root that. Square root of 25 is 5. So that missing side is 5, which is what we got with the other problem. Because we basically followed the same process, we just didn't, this describes the entire process from start to finish. This is the main concept, and we just did the process intuitively. So how do we know that this side length is 3? Well, you start, you can just count 1, 2, 3, or you could look at it as what's the x-coordinate of B? It's at 6, and what's the x-coordinate of A? It's 3. So you're going the distance from 3 to 6. So if you do 6 minus 3 to find that distance, you get 3. So that's what we're doing with this business, this x1 minus x2, y2 minus y2 minus y1. Did I say x1? Yeah, x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. All you're doing is finding the lengths of the imaginary sides of this imaginary right triangle, and then you are solving for c. And to do that, the last step is square rooting it. That's why you square root the whole thing here. So what this really means is the length of this side plus squared plus the length of this side squared, and then square root that to get the distance, which is c.